everybody, welcome back to Drawing with Paolo. Today we're going to draw a samurai. It's one of a huge requested drawings, so let's start with the samurai's head right here. And we're going to draw his shoulders like this, sort of like a curved body this way, which will allow us to position him as to being holding his sword. Here's his right shoulder, his right arm and elbow, his forearm, and this will be his hand, which will be gripping his katana sword. And here's the hilt of the sword like that. And then here we're going to put his little dress piece that goes to the bottom of his armor. And we're going to put a helmet on top of this gentleman. So we are going to draw a samurai in full armor. And not so much, just the plain clothes samurai. We're going to put the full armor samurai. We'll draw a full armor samurai today. So here's his war helmet, which has some design features on the top of it like this. I'm going to put a three-pronged item like that, a little oval in the middle like that. And you guys can draw the elements that you like on this helmet. And I'm going to give you the basic outlines. Let's erase whatever's in here. And I'm going to give you the basic outlines to this drawing. And you can draw it the way you like. You don't have to draw it just like mine. If you want to, hey, go ahead. You're free to do so. But I'm going to draw it in one way. And if you'd like to change that, you can do so big time. So here's the samurai's nose, and we're going to add his mouth here. So here's his upper lip. Draw the lower lip like that. And then we're going to put his right eye here, sort of like his eyebrow. And then there's the little sun reflector here, or sun deflector. Protect his eyes from the sun. We'll fix these outlines a little bit more. Ooh, I moved my page. So let's erase the lines inside there. All right. Do the outlines over here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a few details here. So we're going to put like horizontal lines through this helmet part. We're going to add some details to this helmet. And let's finish off a few more details to his face. Let's finish that eye in there. And we'll do the left eye over here. And we're going to give him a little bit of a better chin line, sort of like this. Pardon me. Give him a neckline, which comes to his suit, attaches to his chest. And here there's these big deflectors, maybe to deflect arrows or swords through these big shoulder pads. And there'll be one on this side too, so let's do the outline of his body, and we'll add a shoulder pad sort of over here. Just like that. Although I'm not too sure what this arm will be doing, but we'll figure it out later on. Let's add his knuckles and the bottom of his hand here. We'll wrap that onto his wrist, sort of like that. And pull the line all the way to his elbow and curve it around, sort of like this. And then add a few more detail lines in here. Speed that up a little bit. Remember, you can pause this at any time, rewind it. What I suggest generally is watch it once and then play it again while you're drawing. So because you're watching it once, at least you get a better idea and understanding of where the drawing is going. And now this is for the people that want to know how I erase my things rather than just swipe my hand across. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going inside in between the lines that I've just drawn, and I get rid of the what we call the foundation lines, essentially. So every one of those lines that used to look like bones and sort of help with the guiding of where my body parts are going to go, I need to erase all these lines. All right, let's continue with the outlines. And for the rest of the drawing, I'm pretty much going to just erase with my hand, which saves a bit of time. And I'm also going to speed up the process of adding the same details over and over again. All right, so wherever there are repeated lines and whatnot, I'm just going to speed that up. And you guys can pause that to follow along or to catch up. All right, so we're going to draw this around like this. So this is sort of like a dress piece. We're going to add horizontal lines in here too. Speed that up. There you go. And the same thing over here. There's a middle section over here that we can make a little bit longer. So we make a little bit of design. Speed that up too. And then we're going to fix the area here, which has sort of like a collar cut that comes up. I don't know if it's made of metal or what, but there is a little bit of a collar on the side that goes around the back of his neck. And he has clothing underneath that. And we can color that here a little bit darker. There we go. It's coming along. Let's color this inside helmet part dark as well. And we'll put some shading here. Oh, of course, we have to put the little chin strap to keep that helmet on, and we'll shade the eyebrows and the face because the helmet is producing a shadow onto our samurai's face. And we'll erase a few of the details inside this little headpiece here, headdress. Let's add a circle in the middle there. Let's add an outline, make this a little bit darker. Add a few more reflection lines if we like. That, make a circle in the middle here, give it a bit more detail, and shade the bottom part of these little horny, triangular, curved shapes, just like this. Now let's work a little bit more on the helmet. So we're going to do the outline a little bit better, and then give it a little bit of a metallic look to it, and color that in a light shade of gray, just like this, leaving a little bit of black between each one of the lines. We'll make it a little bit darker under here because the light is actually being blocked by that headpiece, so it would make it darker here on the helmet. Let's do the outline for this piece of the helmet and the thickness. And then we're going to overlap this exterior section of the helmet. So it looks like they're individual metal pieces that are built within the helmet. And then pull the lines across from right to left, just like that. If you're left-handed, then you would do the opposite, right? From left to right. Let's add some sections here real quickly, sort of like checkerboard sections. I'm going to make this just a little bit darker on the bottom of the helmet here. Give it a bit more contrast. Let's do the same to this part of the helmet. There we go. Nice. Very nice. All right, and then we're going to color here, add a little bit of shading to every level of that side piece of the helmet. And we're going to add a few bolts. You know, there are things that are rivets, or I don't know what they used back in those days to hold these pieces together, so I suppose they're little rivets. Now let's add his leg here. He's in a power stance. So you're not going to see the bottom of his legs. If you'd like to draw those on your own, you can go ahead and do so. I'm just going to draw in his thighs and knees a little bit. There you go, sort of bent. So he's ready to in an attack posture. And let's give him a little bit of chest armor here. Just put a few shapes and circles and things. This could be his belt. This is the leather strap that attaches his front piece together. And let's erase that line in the middle. And we'll go outline that a bit better and put a circle in the center of that. Represents or reflects the same circle that's in his helmet. Add a few more horizontal lines here. And let's give him a scabbard to his katana, just like this. Should go all the way through. And then we're going to add a few more details here to his elbow pad. There we go. Give it a little bit more detail to this. You can go as detailed as you like or keep it as simple as you like. This is your drawing, remember? So you do it the way you want to. And I know some historians out there will say, well, you know, samurai armor wasn't like that, but we can do it the way we want. Like, for example, I'll erase this shoulder piece here, and it doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm going to make his arm sort of hidden behind his body and just have his left hand appear here, just like this. So it's sort of like bent backwards there, bent behind his body. And he's holding the scabbard with his left hand. And the right hand is holding the hilt of his sword. Put a little bit of an eyeball in there and redo the contour of his nose. A little bit darker. There we go. Redefine his lip line. And a bit of a chin line here, or a cheekbone, like that. Let's color the underside here where the light can't reach. Alright. So think of dragon scales when you're doing this. Sort of like the same, right? Okay. Let's attack this left chest plate. Same thing to this one on the right side. So really light lines, and we'll attack that later on with more detail. Then over here, there's like the separation where they actually slip that on. And then there are little attachments here that allow them to buckle that stuff together. like this, maybe leather straps or something like that. And then we're going to add squares here, just for, detail's sake. Now let's work on his hand. We'll have a little finger poking out here and redraw his knuckles a little bit better. Just like this. Remember, they have those pads on top of their hands to protect themselves, and we're going to add a little bit of separator detail here on his forearm. Now you don't want to just draw a line across. You can't have a continuous line because you want it sort of not perfect, right? You don't want a straight line or else it doesn't look realistic. Alright, so his dress piece over here should actually overlap on his thigh. We're going to do that later on. So now let's add some details to his shoulder pad here. We're going to retrace the lines all the way around and make them individual pieces, make them look like they're individual pieces. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to add some shading here to the left side and shading inwards towards the right. And then on the right side, we'll do the opposite. Whoops, I mean the opposite. So we'll start at the top and work our way thicker to the right side. There we go. It gives a little reflection idea to our pad here. And then I'm going to add more rivets here. We'll add 2. And I think I'll add 4, so we'll add 2 more on either side. And then we're going to draw some separator lines down the middle here. Just like that. Now see how I'm not just drawing one straight line. I'm drawing a bunch of little lines. Then we're going to do 3 of these, just to add some detail to our armor here. And we're going to color this dark. So we're going to take our clone trooper idea and make the interior part really dark. And here where the light can't reach, we'll make it darker even still. Alright, let's add a bit more treatment to this left side. We'll add a few more rivets. That. We'll color that in because of course the light doesn't reach this part, so the helmet is blocking the armor, making it dark on this side. We're going to make this like sort of a materially feel to it. Materially is not really a word, but I'm sure you understand. Alright. Let's color that in nice and dark so that the pad seems to pop out a bit more from the drawing. And we're going to add some little detail here, little squares to the chest piece. There we go. This has rivets too. And you can just go ahead and draw additional lines wherever you like. You can make fish scales if you want, or you can make dragon scales if you want. Don't be inventive. Try stuff out. And don't forget, you can erase anytime. But you know what I tend to recommend is don't even erase. Just draw it, and then if you don't like it, draw another one. And that way you get all your practice done. And you get better and better every time. Let's color this elbow pad in a little bit. A little bit of a worn look. And we're going to add like a scale effect to the side of the forearm. And because the light is coming from the top, from here, this underside here has to be darker. And there's a little bit of a gradient happening, which means that it's darker at the bottom and goes lighter and lighter towards the top, right? And over here, these lines here are a little bit darker, so because we lost them as we colored inside there, so I'm going to retrace those. There we go. And we're going to treat these scales individually, sort of like we did Yoda's head. So Yoda's head and these scales are sort of the same. So you can check out my Yoda drawing from Star Wars. And these scales are exactly in the same fashion. Add a few more details here, coloring those in individually. All right. Just coloring every little piece that you feel like adding stuff to. And here we'll add a few more rivets, a little detail there. And separator lines over at the bottom here. So you just go crazy with detail. You don't have to. You do it the way you want to. This is my samurai. As I was saying, some of these sticklers will say, oh, this is not a real original samurai. Nope. This is a Paolo Morrone samurai. This is the way I want to draw it, and you get to draw your own. You draw it the way you want. But, you know, I do encourage you to go online to the internet or get a book and look at what they actually look like and draw what you see. That's how you get good at drawing. You draw what you see. There's the hilt of my katana sword. And then we're going to add cross lines here, and others are going across. And this is how we're going to be able to color the interior part here. So all these things have to stay white, because you have to imagine the material that allows the samurai to keep a grasp on his hilt. All these things have to be black, and it's sort of like threaded around the hilt of that sword. Sort of like this. Make it darker here at the bottom. There's a little finger, not lose that there. Alright, and let's do a little bit of a scale effect here as well. Remember, they should be individual metal pieces or ceramic pieces, I'm not too sure. And in this case, we're going to add a little bit of a strap that goes through those. That's what's holding this together. And we're going to color that in because his arm and his body sort of making a drop shadow on that. We're going to color the background here nice and black. There you go. And I'm using cross hatching, so it looks like it's material at the same time. And this piece here doesn't make sense, so I'm going to add that little line. I'm going to erase this line here. And I'll show you how I do that, just like this, because this line here sort of has to look like the right side here, right? So these lines have to be the same, and sort of has to wrap around the leg, and this makes more sense to me. There we go. All right, let's apply the same technique to this side. So we're going to retrace around and add the little material pieces or leather, whatever this is, that ties all the straps together, the bands together, and we're going to add a offset pattern and add that scaly effect onto the right side over here. There we go. Alright, draw through those lines, color it in, and you want to get lighter and lighter as you work your way down, leaving a little bit of a white space. And it looks like a nice reflection and highlights to our armor here. And I'm going to draw some lines across. It sort of looks like reflections. Maybe it's the grass that's on the ground that's reflecting in his armor, or maybe it's just battle damaged. You can add any detail you like that represents whatever you want to the samurai. Let's work on his the back of his sword here, scabbard or whatever you want to call it, the element that holds this sword in place. I'm going to color this in here to give it a little bit of a depth, gives it an idea that it's farther than our character is, so just by a little bit. Makes the character pop out of there. I'm going to add a few more lines here, midway and maybe a little bit third of the way over here. And then we're going to color in his whole leg here, so I'm going to speed that up a little bit. Alright, so when it's closest to the body, it'll be darker, and underneath the body and underneath the leg will be darker as well. So let's go into cross hatching like this to give it a material effect. Oops, just move my page a little bit there. Let's color that in. And so underside here, it has to be darker, and underneath the knee has to be darker as well, and we give it a little bit of a 3D look. And let's give him a few more swords. So we'll give him another hilt right here. We'll treat it like the first one. Maybe it has two more daggers, and they're a little bit shorter than the first one. I'm not sure what these ones are named, but we need to treat it in the same fashion. So we'll give him a third one over here. This guy's well equipped. Well, if you like, you can give him a bow and arrow and all kinds of other armament if you want. And this one will just keep it plain like that. Alright, so of course we need to see the scabbard to this one. Color that in. And see, I made it a little bit wider, but it doesn't really matter by making it darker. It looks like one sword. Let's erase these parts here that we don't need. And over here too, the outlines, we can get rid of that. Now let's work on the mountain range, sort of like what they'd have in Japan. Alright, And we'll add a second layer right over here. Well, this is the snow covering. And we'll add a second layer like that, as I said. And then put up some grass lines, sort of like really long hair, like the dog we did, but in this case we're going to make it a lot longer. So he's standing in grass. And there you go. For those out there that wanted a samurai, oh, and this we have to draw a nice shorter grass all the way across. So for those of you that wanted a samurai, I really hope you like this drawing. And it's all made for you guys so that you can learn how to draw these characters. And I hope to see you next time on another episode of Drawing with Paolo. Take care. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.